This is your host Salim bin Muhammad Rafi, and here is my YouTube channel Zamir Universe. Whenever there is a extreme cruelty in the world, and there's someone like Halaku Khan, like Pharaoh, like Hitler, is born to destroy the whole world, the world becomes helpless and there is a slaughter all across, bloodshed. Millions of people become victim to that dictator, that the cruelest or animal, or you could not call a person like that a normal human being. And in the present century, you see in that category, number one is the United States of America. The Americans have played so dirty. In order to control the whole world and be superpower, the first bad thing they did was that they destroyed everything which the natives in which country they had come. They destroyed their food, which was the besan. Then they raped their women and produced illegitimate children, although they had their own families, their own wife and daughters and everyone. Then they used their men and boys as slaves in their tobacco and cotton fields to make money for them. And that was the pillar of strength for these Americans. Now from there on, they used, lied, and used the whatever form their codes were, and repeatedly they broke their own promise and decisions, so deprive inch by inch all the land, the fertile land, belonged to the natives, and they built their cities like New York, like Los Angeles, San Francisco's, and many other cities and states, and became a superpower. Here along came the First World War and then the Second World War. Although protected by the two great oceans of the world, this mischief monger, in order to assert that he was strong and he had the power to suppress the whole world or to defeat the whole world, he used for the first time the nuclear bombs or atom bombs, both on two major, highly thickly populated cities of Japan, where Japan had already surrendered in the war. They did the same thing with the Ottoman Empire, how they, in collaboration with British, who are the other worst kind human being on earth. So combined two, the wasps and these cunning monkeys, you see that what they have done to the whole world. So if anyone had to be tackled with or destroyed, or the people you can call really that they are the terrorists are the Americans and British. 99% of the problems created are by these. Now, in order to control the whole wealth of the country, although they are under debt of $33 trillion and the poorest country, with 40% people there on the food stamps, and they have homeless people, and they have no Medicare, and they are dying helplessly on the roads, and there is no one. There is all kind of hypocrisy, and there is all kind of one cares for the black lives and how they are killed and strangulated, and so it's white supremacy. See what they are doing in the economy to the rest of the world, especially the people who have billions of dollars to invest, how they trap them. So I'm going to put this from the Greek minister, and so with this my introduction to tell you that why you should take care of America, who is already now dying, and get the dollar out of that, because all they need is a paper and the print green print on it and have dollars.
Launched its gruesome terror attack on Israel on October 7th of last year, President Biden made a decision based on conviction and calculation. He announced his complete solidarity with the country. Biden must have calculated that the only way to have any influence on Israel would be to hug it close, show real empathy, send it the arms it needed, and thus earn Israel's trust to shape its response. It was a thought-through strategy, but it has failed almost completely. From the start, the administration urged the Israelis to consider proportionality in their response to Hamas. Israel heard it and went ahead with one of the most extensive bombing campaigns in this century against a population of about 2.2 million people that by Israel's own estimates contained about 30,000 Hamas militants. By one January estimate, more than half of buildings across Gaza have been damaged or destroyed. The administration counseled Israel against a large ground invasion of Gaza, advising it to take a narrower, targeted approach aimed at eliminating Hamas militants and infrastructure. The Israeli government had lots of long meetings with U.S. officials and then again went ahead with the ground invasion. The Biden team urged a humanitarian pause, but only got a brief one when it was able to get the government of Qatar to broker a hostage exchange. After initial operations wound up, American officials told Israeli officials that what was done in the north of Gaza could not be done to the south. Yet, after telling people to move to the south to get out of harm's way, Israel then proceeded to bomb the south in a manner that President Biden himself admitted is indiscriminate. The U.S. has repeatedly pressured Israel to make greater efforts to protect innocent civilians, but to little avail. Now it has been counseling against an invasion of Rafah, the city nestled close to Egypt, where over 1 million Palestinians have huddled together. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised to invade Rafah, whether another hostage deal is made or not. Washington has warned that after the war, there should be no Israeli seizure of land in Gaza and no new Israeli occupation of the territory. The Israeli government's plans are to do both. The result is that American policy on the Gaza war now appears hapless,
JJ, I think most people have mischaracterized the true cost of corruption. I don't think the true cost of corruption, rather, let me say it differently. I don't think the most expensive line item in the cost of corruption, right, is what it's done to the economy. I think it's what it's done to sentiment and what it does to talent. In other words, when you corrupt a system, those less deserving get opportunities to which they are not deserving.
Entitled.
The problem is that those who are deserving pick up a little green document called a passport. They get on a plane
and go elsewhere.
And they leave. Now, there are some people watching this who go, no, they must go. Let me tell you why that is the dumbest, most nonsensical thing I've ever heard people say. When you say, JJ must go, JJ is born in South Africa. The South African state educates him for 18 years to get his matric. Then that same South African economy has built institutions of education. Let's assume JJ gets a master's. It's another 5-6 years of it. 24 years invested, and you're going to say he must just go.
Yeah,
Like
because you're just flushing that investment down the drain.
And so, what's happened now, if it's not the semigration to the Western Cape, that's a separate conversation altogether. It's the proper immigration. The number of South Africans who have sat in this chair living in Canada today would alarm you. The number who've moved to Australia would alarm you. The number I bump into, or neighbors of mine in the Middle East, will alarm you, right? Because what talent does, when you distort this thing about effort versus reward, is talent goes where it will be rewarded.
My goodness.
It doesn't have to put up with the nonsense.
If I were in the Pentagon, I would not be worried about the developments on the military terrain. What I would be worried about are the developments on the fintech, the financial technology terrain, because the Chinese, with WeChat, and in particular, something I haven't mentioned yet, the digital currency of the Central Bank of China, they are creating circumstances that can easily undermine the monopoly that the dollar has on international transactions. Because all the power of the Americans, of the United States, this whole panoply of force is based on the US dollar. The American economy is becoming a smaller and smaller percentage of the world economy. The American economy is highly in the red. They have a huge trade deficit since 1968. They have a huge budget deficit, 6.5% every year, budget deficit. So they need other people's money. They are the only empire in the history of humanity who are growing stronger the more they are in the red. What allows them to do that is that they print the world's currency, the dollar. So if you are a capitalist, a German capitalist, a Chinese capitalist to this day, right? You need to sell to the Americans in order to make your own profits. So you sell to the Americans buy in dollars, they have a deficit, and you get dollars. So you're a Chinese capitalist in Shanghai or in Frankfurt, and you have all these dollars. And what do you do with these dollars? You cannot spend them in Germany or in China, so you take them to Wall Street, and you invest them in real estate, in shares, primarily in American debt. So you're financing the American government to build the armies and to have the aircraft carriers in the East. So that is the nexus around which American power revolves, the dollar. The Chinese threaten that because now, if you are a capitalist, if you are a moneybags, if you're Saudi Arabian, with lots and lots of billions, you know, somebody from Abu Dhabi, an Indonesian magnate, a Malaysian magnate, you are really thinking twice about putting all your eggs in the dollar basket. Why? Because you've seen that the Americans just confiscated 400 billion of dollars of Russian money. I'm not going to pass judgment on that. This is not a discussion of whether they should have done it or not. It's a fact, they did it. So if you are a sheikh from Dubai and you have all these billions, you think, well, they got pissed off with Putin's men and they took their money. What about me? I'm not the best guy in the world. Maybe they will get pissed off with me tomorrow. So you're not going to put all your money in the Chinese digital currency, but you will put some of it in there, just to, to plan B, in case the Americans come. And that is a clear and present danger for American hegemony. That is why, and here's my explanation, you have a new Cold War. The Americans are attacking the technological evolution of Chinese fintech, the combination of big tech and the financial sector, because they want to kill this payment system from, before it grows up and challenges the American dollar.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर